Okay, hello, welcome everyone for the next topic on diffusive mass transfer. In this video lecture, we will be learning about steady state equimolar countercurrent diffusion and develop molar equations, flux equation for the same. That's our case 1. The case 2 will see the diffusion of components into a second stationary component which is stagnant, and we'll develop molar equations for the same. Now here these are two cases. In the case 1, you have system 1, that is there are two systems, system 1 and system 2, and in system 1 you have both the molecules A and B, as well as system 2 has molecules A and B. For the case 1, what we are considering is A and B both are moving across the system, two systems, and in case 2 only molecule A is moving, B is stagnant. So the first case is two-way diffusion, second case is one-way diffusion. Here we are also going to check the study on the different diffusivity concepts of gases and liquids. We'll also learn how to measure them. So let's go ahead and see. Let's take up the first case, steady state equimolar countercurrent diffusion. Let me consider two chambers, chamber 1 and chamber 2. Let me consider gaseous system over here, which is easy to understand and derive equations. Later, let us modify those things. So these two systems are connected through a cylindrical channel. The entrance of that container 1, I'll call it as location 1, and the end is the entrance for the second container, I'll call it as location 2. The location 1 and location 2 are at the same pressure, total pressure P. Right now, I have closed the container. It's a cylindrical container of constant cross-sectional area. So I have closed the container entry, so no transfer is taking place. So in the beginning, let me look at the pressure profile, similar to the temperature profile. We get it in heat transfer processes. Here it is pressures across the distance, across the length from 1 to 2. The total pressure remains constant. The partial pressure on side 1 is larger than the partial pressure at 2. It means the concentration of A is high in the location 1, concentration of A is low in the location 2. So it is the decreasing order from 1 to 2. Whereas for the molecule B, the concentration at location 2 is higher than at location 1. So, considering the concentration gradient, you should expect now the molar flux of A should be in the forward direction, direction 1 to 2, because the concentration is gradient moving from 1 to 2. For the molecule B, the molar flux should be from location 2 to 1. That's in the exact reverse direction, because the concentration of B is higher over here in the second location. So obviously the mass transport should be in this direction 2 to 1. So if you observe it, A is moving in the forward direction, B is moving in the reverse direction. That is what? Counter current diffusion. Let us consider this total pressure over here and here, that is P, are same. Both are at the same pressure. So at the same pressure, the molecules that are moving in the forward direction, molecules that are moving in the reverse direction will be same for a gaseous system. So that is why we can call it as equimolar. Let this process be at steady state, because there is no change in concentration at a given location with respect to time. Let us consider a steady state. So that's how the situation or the case becomes a steady state equimolar countercurrent diffusion. Let us also consider that this is an ideal system. So for an ideal system, you can write a partial pressure sum equal to total pressure, making use of Dalton's law. Since the surface area is constant over here, the rate of diffusion forward and backward are equal. Since it is the opposite direction, I am considering a negative sign over here for B. That is, J is equal to minus JB and NA is equal to minus NB. We can also write the fixed first law of diffusion for this situation. For molecule A, I can write the flux equal to rate upon surface area, and that I can write it as minus DAB dCA by dZ. Here the DAB is the diffusivity of molecule A into B. dCA by dZ is the concentration gradient of molecule A across the length Z. For molecule B, similarly I can write the equation, but here you note the difference of dBA, that is diffusivity of B into A. and the concentration gradient of B across the length Z, that is dCB by dZ. Something that you need to understand and note here is in this situation, the two diffusivities DAB and DBA both are equal. Both are equal. Now, what we'll do is we'll prove it making use of this equation. Note that the concentration gradient I have written here it is dCA by dZ. So whether it is gaseous system or liquid system, the equation remains the same. For gaseous system, we can make use of the ideal gas equation and we can modify the equation. So let us see how we do this. For a gaseous system, I can write C is equal to Pa by RT, which we have learnt it in the previous part with the definitions. The concentration can be written as partial pressure upon temperature and gas constant. Making use of the ideal gas equation, PV is equal to nRT. Similarly, for B, molecule B, we can write Cb is equal to Pb by RT. Now, making use of that terms for Ca and Cb in the Fick's law for two cases, for two molecules A and B, Ja and Jb, I can rewrite them as minus dAb by RT because RT is constant. I can take it out of the differential term. So what remains there is dP by dZ and dP by dZ. This dP by dZ or dPa by dZ, I can write it in the finite term, finite values, that is delta P by delta Z. Usually when we write delta, it is final minus initial. Considering that negative sign, I'll write initial minus final. That is higher concentration minus lower concentration. Same thing for molecule B. So the differential term I written here inside the bracket is higher value minus lower value. Since Ja and Jb, the two fluxes, are equal but opposite in sign, I'll equate them, these two equations. So this RT gets cancelled, delta Z gets cancelled, and also I know by Dalton's law, that is total pressure will be equal to summation of two partial pressures. What I'll do is this PA and PA values, that is dPA to be precise, delta PA, I'll rewrite in terms of PB. So if I differentiate this equation, I'll write dPA is equal to differential of total pressure minus differential of PB. Differential of total pressure will be equal to 0 because P is a constant value. So dPA will be equal to minus dPB, which I have incorporated here. dPA is equal to minus dPB. So when you simplify this, you end up with DAB is equal to dBA. So this is true for ideal gas or gaseous system. For a liquid system, we'll still write this Ca by Z, that is delta C by delta Z as it is. We'll not use it because we use this term or equation because ideal gas law does not hold good here. Dalton's law does not hold good here. When we come across the liquid system, usually we come across mole fractions. There is a mole fraction of molecule A and B on two sides, side 1 and side 2. So these values are known to us. Their molecular weights are also known to us. When the chemicals are mentioned, molecular weights are also known to us. So given the molecular weight, we can find out the average molecular weight on both the sides. Given the density, mass density on two sides and average molecular weight, we can also find out the concentration, that is molar concentration on two sides. Given this molar concentration on two sides, we can find out the average concentration of the entire system. We'll consider whole system, side 1 and side 2. Both will take it as together. And what is the average concentration on both the sides? We can find out. Based on the average concentration, the Ca1 and Ca2 can be rewritten. How? Ca1 can be written as this is C multiplied by its mole fraction Xa1. Ca2 can be written as C into Xa2, right? So Cb2 can be written as C into uh, Xb2. So this C concentration, individual concentration can be written as its mole fraction multiplied by the total concentration. So this total concentration can be taken out. So you end up with, for example, this equation you end up with J is equal to DAB into C, which is C average, C into XA1 minus XA2 by delta Z. Equivalently, JB can also be written. So this is what we are going to end up with. So let us look at one numerical. You can pause the video here. You can read the problem. What I will do is I'll summarize the problem pictorially. I'll not read the problem as it is. You have two containers, container 1, container 2. In container 1, you have molecules A and B. A is at 90 mole percent in container A. So same molecule A is 5% in the container 2. Since it is 100% together A and B, the B is 10 mole percent on the side 1. Side 2, it is 95 mole percent. So total is 100. It is connected by a wall, connected by a pipe, cylindrical, 50 millimeter in diameter, 150 millimeter in length. So the distance between the two entrance is that one to location two is 150 millimeter. The cross sectional area when you calculate, you require the diameter, that is 50 millimeter. The diffusivity of A to B is 4.3 10 power minus 3 meter square. The entire system is at a constant pressure and temperature of 1 atmosphere and 298 Kelvin. You are expected to find the steady state rate of transport of A through the tube. That is molar flow rate you have to find out. So let us look at the problem, the data that is provided. So DAB is given, XA1 and XA2 are given, XA1 and XA2 are given. Similarly, I can find out that XB1 and XB2, that also I can identify, not required in this case. Delta Z and diameter are known, and based on that I can find out the cross sectional area, that is cross sectional area based on the diameter. So the cross sectional area S is the area through which the mass transfer takes place, which is pi d square by 4. I can calculate that also. Now calculating the molar rate of mass transfer of A, that is what is required. So to calculate that, I know the equation for molar flux of A by fixed first law for the liquid system or even gaseous system. I can use the same equation. Here it is the gaseous system. Remember, the equation that I have told you for liquid can also be used for gas. When you apply ideal gas equation and Dalton's law into that, you can modify into the partial pressure. So that this equation D into C concentration, I mean C average delta X by delta Z, this equation can be used for gas as well as liquid, right? Whereas that delta P by delta Z equation which I told you earlier can be used only for gases, not for liquid. Now here multiplied by S gives you the flux multiplied by the cross sectional area gives you the rate of mass transfer. So if you observe here all the data, if you observe we do not have the C average, we have to calculate it XA1, XA2, Z2, Z1, S, DAB. These values are already known to us. So let us calculate this C average. Since it is a gaseous system, only because it is gaseous system, I can make use of this equation. C average is equal to N total number of moles divided by V or total pressure by RT. The total pressure what is there, I'll consider that is 1 atmospheric pressure, and I'll calculate the number of moles per unit volume. If it is a liquid, you cannot use this equation. If it is a liquid, what you need to do is, given the chemical formula, you have to find out the average molecular weight. Based on the average molecular weight on one side on and the density, that value has to be given to you. So based on the density and average molecular weight, you have to find out the molar concentration on side 1 and molar concentration on side 2 using the same mechanism. Then you have to take the average of the two, that will be the C average. So let me repeat, given the mole fraction of two component and their molecular weight, you will find out the average molecular weight. Then given the mass density by molecular weight, average molecular weight gives you concentration on side 1. Follow the same mechanism for the side 2. So you get two concentration on two sides, C1 and C2. Take the average of those two and that will be the C average. That is to be used for liquids. For gases, we can go ahead with this method. So substituting these values, I get Na is equal to 0.0977 mole per second. The substitution as you see on the screen here. Right. Let me take up the second case, one-way diffusion. Let me consider a case where I have a tube filled with the volatile liquid. The liquid is volatile here. The liquid I'll consider it as benzene A. The nomenclature I'll take it as E, liquid A. It moves upward because there is a molecule B which is moving. Air is moving here, or overall it is static. Overall, I can, even though I consider it static, since it is in a gaseous phase, there will be a Brownian movement. The movement will be there within the static layer. So, but the point is, this B will not be moving into this benzene. That is the key point here. So it is one-way diffusion. Benzene diffuses into air, but air will not diffuse into the benzene. So it is one-way diffusion. Or I can take up another case where I have the gas which is containing ammonia in air. Okay, ammonia is A, air is B, and it is passing through the liquid water. In this case, air will not pass through water, air will not diffuse into the water, whereas ammonia will diffuse into the water. Also, we'll assume that the water will not diffuse into the air mutually. So only ammonia is the one which is getting diffused into water. Now, considering this situation, you will say one-way diffusion. So at locations, we'll identify the location, the location 1 and location 2, here location 1 and location 2. So we'll say A is moving along with the B of same velocity. A has convective mass transfer along with the B. Since B is moving, A is also moving with that. That's also important thing here. Because B is moving, it is pushing A. So the flux or rate of A, when you calculate, it is not just because of diffusion, it is also because of convective motion along with the B. Right? So total has two components here. Here A is diffusing, B is not diffusing. The B remains static. That's the meaning of static here. It does not move along with through the diffusion. So the total flux when you calculate for A, there are two components. One, it is because of the diffusion alone. Second, it is because of the convection. So it is a convective diffusion, you can say. So when we calculate the total flux, we have to consider one for the diffusion, one for the convection. Convection, when you say, it is not just because of the molecule B or the air, it is also because of the, because of the uh, two fluids A and B together. We are considering it only for the flux, we are considering only for the molecule A. So its contribution to the total, the contribution of A to the total flux is XA into J. If you consider XB into J, it is because of the other molecule. Put together, it is the total contribution, right? So XA can be written as concentration of A upon total concentration. The total flux J can be written as flux because of A plus because of flux because of B. Put together, it is the total flux. So we'll make use of these three equations in next to develop certain equation. So I have considered point 1 and point 2, location 1, location 2. The flux is moving like this, that A is moving like this. Given that J is equal to J plus X into J, as well as X is equal to ZA plus C, and J is equal to JA plus JB. All three equations I'll put it together. Also, I'll write an equation for JA because of diffusion, which is minus DAB dCA by dZ. I'll make use of this equation for diffusion. So JA and this diffusive transfer, I'll write this equation. XA, I will write it as CA by C. This J, I will write it as JA plus JB. So I will simplify this equation now for the case of one-way diffusion. In one-way diffusion, okay, in the transport of diffusion, only diffusion flux, when you measure it, I don't want this JB. The JB is 0 because it is having no diffusion term here. So I'll consider it as 0. But the J is more than 0. It's not non-zero number. So when you simplify this and use it for an ideal gas, when you make use of, that is C is equal to P by RT or C is equal to P, a partial pressure by RT, which we already used. So I'll make use of these terms in this equation. So I'll write JA is equal to minus DAB. CA, I'll write it as P by here, PA by RT, right? So PA by RT, that RT I can take it outside, plus CA by C, I can write it as PA by P, right? CA I can write it as PA by RT, C I can write it as P by RT. RT gets cancelled, I'll get PA by P, JA, because JB is 0 there. Now simplifying this equation, because I need to do the integration, so I'll take this term on the other side. So when I simplify this, I get J dz. This is dz. I'll take it to the other side, minus dab by rt dpa. So the term with this term which has gone the other side, when I simplify this, I get p by p minus pa here. So I'll write it in this side. So if you observe it here, we need to do the integration now at z is equal to z1. Here at z is equal to z1, partial pressure of A will be equal to pa1, which is higher because the mass transfer taking place in this direction, 1 to 2, location 1 to 2. At location 2, the height is Z2, partial pressure is PA2, which is lesser than PA1. So this is the moment. So I have to integrate dPA with respect to dZ. So I need the two limits in terms of Z and PA, which is given to you here. And upon integration, if you observe it here, it is P is constant here. It will be like integral 1 by x. When you do the integration of 1 by x, it is ln x, right? So delta z, right? Delta z you get z2 minus z1, and this p is taken out. DABP by RT, ln. So two terms you get here, right? 1 by P minus C, that is ln P minus PA, you get it. ln P minus PA. When you write it from PA1 to PA2, you get this term. So we can simplify that, right? We can simplify that equation as the flux will be equal to DAB into P divided by RT delta Z ln of P minus PA2 by P minus PA1. If you observe this carefully, numerator, it is equal to PB2 because Dalton's law. Dalton's law says PA2 plus PB2 will be equal to total pressure, and PA1 plus PB1 will be equal to total pressure. So using Dalton's law, you can write PB2 in the numerator, PB1 in the denominator. You can also make use of log mean pressures. The way you use log mean temperature, that is log mean temperature difference, LMTD in heat transfer. Similarly, you can make use of log mean pressure differences, PB2 minus PB1 by log of PB2 by PB1. You can make use of that in this equation. So you can write an equation of something similar to this. J is equal to DAB by P, RT delta Z. Numerator I can write PA1 minus PA2, simplifying these two terms. Alright, simplifying these two terms, I end up with log mean pressure difference. Sometimes this is useful. We generally use this equation for solving numerical. For solving numerical, we make use of this equation. For liquid system, we do not write partial pressures. So I'll just replace these partial pressure terms with the XAP, right? So this is what I can get it. Instead of PBM, I'll write XBM into P. C average is equal to P by RT. I'll just replace this term. So I end up with an equation like this. So in simple, if you want to write for the liquid system, you can write DAB by Z2 minus Z1. Here instead of P by RT, you get concentration C. The way I explained for the case 1, concentration C, ln of, you get XB2 minus XB1, or 1 minus XA1 by 1 minus XA2. Right? So such kind of equation you get it. So that's more easier to solve than log mean differences. Let us look at a problem. You can pause the video here. You can read the problem and you can continue after that. What I will do is I will explain you the problem graphically here, pictorially. So you have a system that is a formic acid one side, liquid on the other side, film of liquid. The water is not moving, but formic acid is moving through this liquid layer. Thickness 4 mm. Diffusivity 10 power minus 9 meters square per second. Formic acid is A. On one side it is 29 mole percent. On the other side it is 3 mole percent. The concentration, total concentration of all the molecule together here, it is 54 kilomole per meter cube. On the other side it is 46 kilomole per meter cube. You are to find the rate of diffusion of formic acid, that is Na. The rate of diffusion in this direction you are supposed to find. So let us solve the problem. Given the information, let's write the terms. DAB delta Z, let us write it. Then location 1, the concentrations, that is 54 kilomole per meter cube. XA1 is given 29 mole percent. XB1 is 1 minus of 0.929, 0.71. At location 2, you'll write 3 kilomole, 3 mole percent, and the concentration is 46 mole percent. So these are the information that is available from the problem. So notations we have put it. The flux of acid, formic acid, through the non-diffusing water. So this is what I had told you. For liquid, instead of log mean temperature or log mean pressure differences, we can make use of the original equation as it is. DAB C average by Z delta Z ln of XB2 by XB1. We can make use of this equation to solve the problem. But the question is, what is C average? As I told you in case 1, if you remember, for there we had considered the gases case in the problem, previous problem, gases we have taken, and average concentration we have taken it as P by RT, right? There I told you that for liquid will not do like that, we'll take the concentration averages. Right now the concentration on one side and concentration on the other side, it is given to us. C1 and C2 is given to us. So we'll make use of that as an average. 54 plus 46 average will take and substitute and calculate the value. So it comes out to be 4 kilomole per meter square second. So this is the flux, or you can say rate per unit surface area, unit cross sectional area. So cross sectional area, since it is not known to you, you can keep it as it is. You can say per unit cross sectional area, rate per unit cross sectional area, you can mention for the flux. Now, let us look into the diffusivity of diffusivity DAB for gas for liquid, for solids, which is mentioned to you earlier. I mean, previous section also I mentioned this diffusion coefficient of gases. It's around 10 power minus 1 to 10 power minus 3 centimeter square. That is larger, I mean, higher value compared to liquid and solids. Solids have the lowest diffusivity coefficient, and all the cases they are strongly dependent on the temperature and material also. Then coefficient of gases and liquid can be estimated theoretically. Okay, practically as well as theoretically you can estimate. So we have three different mechanisms to measure the diffusivity. You can measure them experimentally, you can measure them, predict using some equation, or you can make use of data book. Let us look into that. So we have discussed case A and case B for the gases and liquid, right? So case A is two-way diffusion, case B is one-way diffusion. The same thing you can make use. This is called a two-bulb method here for gases, that is two-way diffusion. This is called Stephen's tube method for one-way diffusion. So the equations are modified in terms of experimental data, so that you get the experimental data you can fit in, and you can see that DAB term is present there. You can estimate those DAB using two methods. So this is the case 1 and case 2 which we had earlier discussed. So this is the experimental method. It is more accurate because you are using the specific chemical that you are going to use, specific condition of experiment you are going to use. So this is more accurate than any method. In the absence of experimental method, you go for predictions, theoretical prediction. So Chapman-Enskoig equation will be used for the gases. You can see that diffusivity is directly proportional to the temperature power 3 by 2, inversely proportional to the molecular weight of two chemicals, and inversely proportional to the pressure, total pressure, and sigma and omega. They are constants of interatomic forces. For liquids, for large molecule like protein, more than 1000 molecular weight, we use Stokes-Einstein equation. For a small molecule, we use Wilke-Chang equations, like less than 1000 molecular weight. So in both the cases, you observe that DAB is directly proportional to the temperature, DAB is inversely proportional to the viscosity mu. Mu is the viscosity of the liquid, right? Viscosity independent term. Then VA is nothing but the interatomic forces, I mean volume, and this phi and MB, molecular weight, and a constant there. So the overall, in both the cases, whether it is Wilke-Chang or Stokes-Einstein equation, we observe that diffusivity is directly proportional to temperature, inversely proportional to mu. We can club it. How? D is directly proportional to T by mu. So D1 proportional to T1 by mu1, D2 proportional to T2 by mu2. So I can take a relation between that. So given the values at one condition, at temperature 1, D1 and mu1 are given to you. At temperature 2, mu2 is known. In that case, D2 can be estimated. So at different interpolations can be made using Wilke-Chang correlation or Stokes-Einstein equation. A simple numerical can also be performed on these equations. Last method is making use of data book like Perry's handbook. So Perry's chemical engineering handbook has got a lot of information data that is available as you see in the table here. Diffusion coefficient for different gas molecules at different conditions of pressure, right? Temperature, fixed values are there. So here the point is the molecules are fixed. Specific molecules are used for which your data is available. Whereas the previous one, that is the prediction method, it is not specific. It is not very specific to our given system. Any given molecule you can use this under certain conditions, right? Whereas in the data book, specific systems are given: air, water, air, ammonia, or air, ethanol. Specific values are given. But the point is, at a specific temperature, they are mentioned. The diffusivity is given at specific temperature. So Paris Handbook has got large amount of information for most many of the data that are available there, experimentally as well as theoretically. Latest like ninth edition, you have it, and different editions give different updated information, compilation of a lot of data information on different aspects. Diffusion is one among them. If you need a in between temperature value, you have to do the interpolation. For example, if you do require at 30°, you have to make use of interpolation formula. So this is little bit nearer to the accuracy. So summarizing, we have seen the two cases: molar flux calculation for steady state accumular countercurrent diffusion, and second case diffusion of one way. And the diffusivity of gas and liquids also we have seen, and how we have seen how we measure them using three different methods. whether it is through experimental or prediction or by using data handbook. That's it for this class. Thank you, everyone.